Hey everybody, I'm back. In this video I want to focus on subtracting polynomials. My previous video we did adding, and hopefully that went pretty well for you. In this video, subtracting is going to be the focus, and I tell my kids this all the time in my classes. Subtracting is the thing I'm the worst at, right? If I had to choose between adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, subtracting would be my final choice because I mess it up all the time. And so if you see me make a mistake today, hopefully don't make too much fun of me in the comments. But here is the method you can use for subtracting polynomials. Just like in my adding video, these are the exact same problems. You're like, looking, dude, why did you write that same thing down 2 times? Well, I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it, and you can pick the way that works the best for you. One thing that I do want to go over first before I even do this problem, at least in our school, a lot of our students have been taught the method of changing a subtraction problem to addition, right? You can change any subtracting problem, even something as easy as like 6 minus 1, which obviously you learn in elementary school is 5. You can change this, and the acronym that our kids have learned is, a lot of times it's this, leave, change, opposite, right? LCO, where you leave the first number alone, you change the subtracting sign to addition, and then the opposite of 1 is -1, and that is the way that our kids have learned in the past that any subtracting question, even something as easy as this, can be rewritten as adding the opposite, right? Subtraction is the same thing as adding the opposite, and so 6 plus -1 is also 5. You can see how these have the same answer, but we just manipulated the question to maybe make it a little bit easier for us to understand. Now you're like, dude, 6 minus 1, that's already easy to understand. Why would you ever want to rewrite that question? Well, you wouldn't want to rewrite that question because it's so easy, but some of these other ones that I've got on the board, well, that's whenever rewriting it can make it a little bit easier. So that's a big idea today. That's what I'm going to do on every single question. When they start throwing all these other x's and squares and cubes and all sorts of nonsense up here, it's going to be a lot easier for us to do it if it's an adding situation instead of subtracting. So that is the foundation of what we're going to do on every single question today, right? Even though all these questions on my boards are going to have subtracting signs in the middle, what I actually want to do is change them all to addition problems. Because then, if we rewrite it, leave, change, opposite, like I even write those letters on there, and I have kids who like to do that too, leave this entire first parentheses the same. And if it's not in the correct order, you know, in standard form, you can rewrite it in standard form. So I'm just going to copy this down because that's already in standard form, right? Second degree, first degree, whoops, second degree, first degree, 0 degree. You're going to change the subtracting sign to an adding sign. We want all these to look like addition questions, just like all the questions we did in my previous video. And then here's the important part. We're going to do the opposite of every single part of this parentheses, right? We're going to change everything. Instead of positive 3x squared, we're going to make it negative 3x squared. Instead of plus 2x, we're going to make it minus 2x. Instead of plus 1, we're going to make it minus 1. We change every single sign in that second parentheses. Every single one. If you don't change every single one, you are going to get the question wrong, right? And if you want to keep parentheses around here, you can. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. You notice I didn't do it, just kind of out of habit whenever I rewrote it. But this is the exact same question, right? The first parentheses, exactly the same. These two are perfectly identical. We have changed the subtraction to addition. And then this parentheses, we have changed every single sign. All the positives became negatives, and all the negatives became positives, if we would have had negatives, which we didn't. Now we can do this question just like we did in my previous video. I'm not going to take too much time to go through the process since I just did it in my previous video. But now we can combine together the like terms, right? We have these two that are both squared, 10x squared and negative 3x squared, which I'm just going to put as minus 3x squared, right? We have those two that are squared. We have this one that is to the first power, this one that is to the first power. And so I can put those in a parentheses as well. I have this one that is just x, just a regular number 6, and this is that other one that has a regular number -1. And now you can just add up each parentheses using our horizontal format, and you can get your answer. 10x squared minus 3x squared is 7x squared. The second parentheses, 4x minus 2x. And the third parentheses, 6 minus 1. Right? So that is the best process to do these questions. Now, some people might be like, dude, I'm so much better than you. I could have done that way back at the beginning, man. I could have done 10 minus 3 and got 7. I could have done 4 minus 2 and got 2. I could have done 6 minus 1 and had 5. I could have had that answer in 5 seconds. Okay, yeah, I know. This question was super easy because I didn't put any negatives anywhere in these parentheses. It won't always be that easy. So don't hate on me for doing all that work and showing all the steps, because it may come down to you having to do them in the future, right? The vertical method, if you watched my previous video and you want to do these vertically, you can still do them vertically with this. Excuse me. I'm going to act like, well, no, I won't do that. I'm going to go ahead and switch this. Remember, we have to change, this is going to stay the same. We're going to change this to a plus, and we're going to have to do the opposite of this parentheses. So I'm not going to write these 3 down when I do my vertical format, right? I have my vertical format set up, but I'm going to do the opposite of all of these pieces in this parentheses. Instead of 3x squared, I'm going to put negative 3x squared. Instead of plus 2x, I'm going to put minus 2x. Instead of plus 1, I'm going to put minus 1. And now I can solve it using the vertical method, just like I did in my previous video. 10 plus negative 3, 4 plus negative 2, and 6 plus negative 1. Right? You can see the answer is right there. It's the same as my other answer. The important thing, once again, you've got to change every single part of that second parentheses. You got to change all of them if you want to get the question right. Okay, let's look at another example. Unclip my board there. All right, one more, and then I'll have some examples and we can wrap this one up. Every once in a while, they'll get tricky. Here's what happens. Those kids who are like, dude, I can do this whole thing in my head. You're so dumb. Why are you doing all this extra work? I can do it all in my head, man. I'm so good. This is too easy for me. Give me something that's hard, right? Well, this is going to be a little bit harder when it looks like this, right? Those of y'all who are like, oh man, it was too easy before. Could you do 5 minus negative 2 in your head? Maybe. Could you do negative 3 minus 5 in your head? Could you do 6 minus negative 4 in your head? You might be able to if you're really good. But a lot of students who try to do that all in their head, and even adults, they make mistakes, right? So what I would recommend, especially when you're first learning it, go ahead and rewrite it. Take the extra 20 seconds out of your life. It's fine. You're going to be okay to take 20 seconds to rewrite a question, right? Now, this says leave it alone, but I do want to put it in the correct format, right? I want to go in standard form. I want to go from highest degree. See how this is third power and this is second power? I really want that third power to be at the beginning. And so I'm going to put third power at the beginning, and then I'm going to put second power. This is a positive 5, so I'm going to put a plus sign. And then this is the 0 degree, so it's going to go at the end. So even though it says L, leave it alone, sometimes I do rearrange it. I'm definitely going to change my subtraction sign to an addition sign. And I'm definitely going to do the opposite. O stands for opposite of everything in this parentheses. Now really, what should come first? It should be this, right? Because this is the third degree. So instead of plus 5x to the third, I'm going to put minus 5x to the third. Instead of having, let's see, third power, I should be looking for second power. There it is. Instead of having negative 2x squared, I'm going to put plus, right? Because I'm doing the opposite of all these. I don't have any x to the first power, so I can skip that. The one that I see left is minus 4. I'm going to switch that to plus 4, right? The opposite of all those. Plus went to minus. Minus went to plus. Minus went to plus, or negative went to positive, however you want to think of it. Now you can go ahead and get your final answer. You've got these two that are both to the third power, so I'm going to put those in the parentheses. Negative 3x to the third, minus 5x to the third. You've got these two that are both squared, 5x squared and 2x squared. And now, if you get to this point and you're like, man, do you really have to rewrite it out like this? Can I just add those in my head if I'm smart enough to do that? Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. Not all kids, in fact, I really don't have many kids in my advanced class who go to this step and actually rewrite every single one of these. Because most kids, even in my advanced classes, 8th graders, can add all that up in their head. This is a little tricky for some of them. Negative 3 and negative 5 make negative 8, right? Some people try to say 2, or they try to say negative 2, or they get them all mixed around. Here, 5 plus 2, no one's going to mess that up. 7x squared. 6 plus 4, no one's going to mess that up. That one's 10. So ignore my ugly looking 3. That's x to the third power. There is the horizontal method. One more time. For the vertical method, I kind of like the vertical method. To be honest, I didn't even show this to my students whenever I taught it to them last week. Leave, change, opposite. Now, even though this says L, leave it alone, I do want to put it in the right order. Third degree should be first and has a minus sign in front of it, so that has to be attached. Negative 3x to the third. Do I have any x squareds? I do. It's right here. That's a positive 5, so I'm going to put plus. Do I have any x? I don't have any just regular x's, so I'm going to put that placeholder, 0x, just to kind of fill that spot. Do I have any regular numbers that are to the degree 0? I do. That's to the degree of 0 because there are no variables on there. Okay, I'm going to change it to a plus sign. Big plus sign out here. I'm going to opposite. Take the opposite of all of the terms or all the pieces in this parentheses. Instead of positive 5x to the third, I'm going to put minus 5x to the third. Do I have any squared? Do I have any squared? I do. It's right here. Instead of negative 2, I'm going to put positive 2x squared. And I don't have any x's in this one, so that placeholder, it was nice to have it. It didn't actually come into play on this one, but it's always nice to put it there just to be safe. X to the first was not in either parentheses, but I do have a regular number here, which is negative 4. I'm going to do the opposite, right, and make that positive 4. And now that we've got it set up, everything is lined up perfectly vertically, right? Third power and third power, second power, first power, 0 degree, 0 degree. Negative 3 plus negative 5, negative 8. Oh, that's off my board. Let me scoot my board up a little bit. There you go. Apologize about that. X to the third stays the same. 5 plus 2 is 7. 0 plus 0 is 0. I'm not even going to write that in there. If it's 0, it doesn't really even need to be in your answer. 6 plus 4 is 10. And you can see, I hope, that my two answers are the same. Yes, they are. Boom, 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 boom. Two different ways to do it. You just pick the one that works the best for you, and you can roll with it. Okay? I'm going to do one last board here with some examples. If you want to try some on your own, you can pause the video once I get them up here. I know there'll be some kids, some parents who want some chances to practice this. Oh, it's right in the glare. Let's see if I can move that down a little bit. There we go. So if you want to pause the video right here and give your son, daughter, or even if you're doing it just by yourself, give yourself a chance to try one on your own with a scrap piece of paper, go ahead and pause the video. And then I will put the answers up here in just a second. So go ahead and pause it if you want. Okay, it's unpaused, I hope. Here is going to be the answer. I'm not even really the best at doing these all in my head, so let me rewrite this one in the correct format. Should go third power, and then second power, and then here's my first power, and then negative 7. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one the same. The final answer, wait a second, this would have to go to a plus, right? I'm going to change this to a big plus sign. And then I want to do the opposite of everything in this parentheses. So instead of 4y to the third, I'm going to do negative 4y to the third. Instead of minus 6y, I'm going to do plus 6y squared. Instead of plus 5y, I'm going to do minus 5y. And instead of plus 10, I'm going to do minus 10. Do you see how I rearrange that? Third power, second power, first power, 0. Well, third degree, second degree, first degree, 0 degree. And now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do this in my head instead of rewriting it again, just to save time on this video. We've got 1y to the third and negative 4y to the third. That would make negative 3y to the third. For the squared, you've got negative 10, positive 6. That would be negative 4. Over here, we've got plus 2y minus 5y. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. See, I'm doing different marks. That's something I like to do to kind of differentiate it, especially when you don't have different colors. Negative 7 minus 10, that's negative 17. So I feel like that was the correct answer on my first one. And then my other example, let's see, this is leave it alone. I'm just going to rearrange it. Leave that the same, change this to a plus, and then let's do the opposite of everything in here. This is the highest degree, this is second degree, so it should really go first. Instead of negative 6, it should be positive 6. This is positive 3, so it should go to negative 3. That's next. And then this is last. Plus 8 should switch to minus 8. And now you can add them up. Final answer, you've got here, that's just second degree. Second degree, 4 plus 6 is 10. Oh, I'm off the screen again. Apologize. Back it up a little bit. adjust the camera. There we go. W squared. This one doesn't have a W to the first power, but this one does right here. So I'm going to just put that in the spot. And then I do have these two, which are constants that are degree 0, positive 10 minus 8. So I feel like there is the answer to number 2. So there it is. If you did those on your own, I hope you got them. And one more time, I want to give a quick shout out. I'm going to post a video. Actually, I already have it, or not a video. I'm going to post an assignment or a group of questions on my class's website for Algebra 1. But I know not everyone who watches this video will have access to those questions. So if you're a person who's looking for some more practice, you want to give your son or daughter, or maybe you are wanting a chance to watch or practice this some more, here's a website, Kuta Software. They've got 2 different sets of questions. They have all sorts of topics, not just about this. This top is the Algebra 1 website. They have a ton of free resources. This is for the pre-algebra, so if you're in my regular 8th grade math class, I know we technically haven't taught this yet, but it might be something you feel like trying. They have tons of resources on these websites, not just for this specific topic. The thing that I love about this website is, number 1, it's free, and you can print it off or just do it on a piece of paper at your house. And then also, not only do they give you a group of questions, but then they also include the answer key, so you can check your work when you're done to see how well you understood it. So thanks so much for watching, and I will be back tomorrow with another video. I think we'll probably look at multiplying polynomials tomorrow. Thank you so much, and have a good day.